We will call the meeting to order. Are you ready, Mr.? Just one
Give
second,
me just
please.
a second.
Yeah, let me give you a second.
You're good.
Okay. Call the meeting to order. If you'll stand, we'll have the invocation. Sammy, please. Amen. Thank you, Sammy. Pledge allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we will move on to roll call, and we'll have one of the volunteers that will do this.
Since I have a list.
Okay, Vicki, I appreciate that.
Terry Hester, here. Randy Newton, out. Bethany. Victoria here. Glenn.
Here.
Tom Trammell, out.
Tommy's out.
Sammy King. Sassy Johnson. Joan Nano. John Bryant. Vonda Ackerson. Charlie Thompson.
Here.
Phil Ray. Tommy Matthews.
Here.
Charlie Arnett.
Here.
Lisa Kirby. She sent an email that her daughter is sick. Rick Palm.
Rick also said he's in Colorado.
Mary Brailer. And I have down, I don't ever do roll call for Bill Martin, but I usually put him on my list if he's here. So he's not here.
Thank you, Vicki. Okay, so we will move on to, we have, so everyone, it appears, has all been asked to be excused for the meeting, so I guess I would request of the board to make a motion to approve those members excused.
I make a motion to approve the members that called in.
Okay, is there any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and Terry, didn't you get a resignation letter from Randy?
Yes, I want to talk about it.
Okay. Okay, just want to make that known. So, got a copy of the agenda, board members. Look over that for a moment. And when you're ready, just make a motion to approve, if you will. Okay, we have a motion by Sammy, second by Charlie. Arnett. Any discussion on the agenda? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll move on. Motion passes. You have the August minutes, so if you take a moment, review those. If you have any questions on that.
I didn't hand them out. I emailed them yesterday.
Okay.
And then I received 2 phone calls on 2 minor corrections. And then I re-emailed them this morning, so everybody should have had them. Is there any question on the minutes from the last minute, from the last meeting?
In the minutes, it said we had a handout from county parks committee, and I was unable to be here for the meeting, and I'd like to have a handout. Whatever it was covered. That's what the minutes said.
I believe he handed anything out. I'll correct it.
So he did have a handout.
I don't know that he handed them out, but now he went point by point through
Right.
that discussion. So that can be made available. Would you be satisfied if we can get that to you when he gets back in town? Okay, so that should suffice for that. Thank you. So are there any discussions? Yes, Tommy?
It's under, let me find it. There's one little place.
So what's the question? What you were asking, what was the discussion?
There it
on
is.
barbecue?
At the top of the third page, we originally thought that we were going to have the barbecue on the 9th because the pavilions had been reserved. I mean, on the 7th. No, second. And so it originally said the 2nd.
Okay.
But the bylaw says it has to be on the 2nd Saturday of the month. So Terry contacted the member that had it reserved, and they were willing to change with us. So I changed this to show that we're having the barbecue on the 9th, not on the 2nd. And the only other change was the spelling of Charlie's name. Sometimes I have a memory loss. I want to be a K in there so bad.
It's all good.
Motion by John, second by Tommy Matthews. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move on to.
Who did the second? I'm sorry.
Tommy Matthews.
Tony, thank you.
So we'll move on to the secretary's report, and Vicki, you can fill in any right or so. Do you have anything that you need to know about?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to the treasurer's report, Vicki and Carol. Carol, good to see you tonight.
We have a guest with us tonight. This is Carol Strickland, our bookkeeper. So she came with our numbers.
Had a minor computer glitch over the weekend, so I had to pick it up today.
Okay, if you'll notice on the handout, the one that's color-coded, the TD Bank checking account was closed, so the balance is 0. The ending balance of the Drummond checking account is $69,276.08. And per the minutes from the last meeting, we took $50,000 out of our Trepo checking account and opened up a savings account. That's why you see a $50,000 balance in that one. And then we removed $1,200 from the Trepo checking account, the regular Drummond checking account, and opened up another checking account to be used for our automatic payments. As people renew their membership online and use a credit card, we wanted that monies to go into a separate account and not to go into our working fund. It's easier to track, it's easier to keep track of, better for auditing purposes. So that's what that is. We opened it with $1,200. So the total with all three accounts is $120,475.28. And then there's another handout that just shows year-to-date through August of our profit and loss statement. Any questions? She's here if y'all have questions. We can fix it.
I second that.
So it's a motion by John Bryant, second by Charlie Thompson. Any discussion on the finance report? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And Vicki and Charlie, we will be, I guess we can, just because of oh, I thought you were going to be in Colorado.
I came back early for this.
He just flew in.
We're sorry.
Well, we're going to re-excuse you. So,
I marked him here.
So, thank you. So the checking account that you set up special, you want to talk about that just a little bit as it relates to the oncoming memberships for the new year as to how that'll work?
You want to say anything?
Um, I mean, it's just a separate checking account for everything to go into once people start paying online, just to make things easier.
They can pay with any major credit card. I believe it's going to be restricted to just the membership fee amount so that they can't put in
Right.
incremental small amounts. We can't, it'd be a nightmare to try to track $25 payments every month. So they have to put in the amount of their membership. And so our anticipation is we can pull reports from that account. So once a month, we'll pull a report as to who has paid for membership, and then we'll have a list of who to issue keys to.
Do you think we'll have any issues with, of course, this is always going to be a few changes starting out, but as far as understanding what their requirements are for doing it online and sending someone in, these all be.
We've ran a few tests, 40 cents, dollar, whatever, just to make sure it was making it all the way to the bank and make sure that we could see all the information. All of our tests went good, so then we upped the limit to be a minimum of $100. And that way, if somebody did want to donate more than that, just as a donation, then they could do that. So,
Which happens a lot. We sometimes give a check for not just the membership, but also a donation on top of that. And we do have to categorize those with special codes so the bookkeeper knows where to put that money. So that way, if it's a minimum of 100, they can still donate more if they wish. Joe?
Yeah, you're going to keep the donations in a separate account, so just 100 will be in there, so you will have a counter on this.
Yes.
And Carrie, you'll be tracking that.
I'll be tracking that, and any amount beyond the membership will be transferred over into the regular general account at some point in time. Once we start needing those funds, there's a fee.
Yeah, there is a fee. It's
$10 a month.
no, not for us,
No.
for the member. It's 3% and 40 cents.
It can't.
Added to the payment.
It's like $3.40 to
Yes.
actually do it that way. That it saves you stamps, it saves you a check, it saves you an opportunity to, whatever it is your money report. So you can still mail it in,
Or you can do it electronically. It's just to increase the way to get it to us faster, so you don't have to worry about snail mail. Because obviously last year we lost a lot of checks, or came in 2 weeks after somebody actually posted their checks. So this way, it's going in instantly. You know that you have an opportunity to be recognized as a member of the community. It's also only for renewals.
Right.
Will there be a pay in person day?
Yes.
Absolutely.
We did schedule 2.
So this is part of the membership committee's plan. This year will be only for the 2022 season. But what we're looking to go forward to, once we get this behind us, in the 23 season, the plan is to allow someone to pay for 1, 2, or 3 years.
Right. Well, this is basically our beta test.
Right.
We'll work through all of the issues this next year, if there are any. I think we've pretty well covered everything, but we'll work through it. And then the plan is the following year, you can pay for multiple years if you wish.
And I think, Carrie, y'all worked out a plan where those dollars can be set aside for the year. Absolutely can't be touched. If it's a 23 or 24 year, I think we talked about setting those up so that
With
those
that
counts are frozen.
we'll set those up. Right. Yeah, it's not set up that way right now, but we will. So right now, we're scheduling 2 pickup days in January, and if a third is necessary, we'll do it.
the original key day will be the 22nd of January, and the second key day will be the 19th of February.
And you'll be able to find that on the website too, once we get a little closer.
So
I was going to wait till October 1st before I put it all over the website. But
I didn't want to dwell on too much, but I think it's good to start opening this up so everybody can.
And I believe that effective when they get their newsletter and they see that we're taking automatic payments, we'll probably start seeing them rolling in. I think we're ready to go October 1st. Isn't that what we were shooting
Yes.
for? October 1st, people can start paying for next year's membership online. I believe they do get a receipt, an email as well.
As well as the booking system.
Right.
And we will need to go ahead now and order the key blanks.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
there is a shortage of brass, and it is actually slowing down some deliveries of that. So if the board members have no issue with that, if no one has an issue, I'll go ahead and get that going for this next year.
Please do. We don't want any delays.
No, we don't need a delay.
Okay, so
Just to reiterate, the electronic, we've been using electronic since COVID started, it's been really good for a lot of other churches. And as a bookkeeper for the church, I can tell you, it's been worked out well. They email me every time somebody made a deposit, I got an email at the end of the month, I got a whole monthly list of, so I can go back and compare them to who did it. And so there's multiple times that this service, who's actually getting the money, actually does get a report. So we're getting multiple times. And then that way, at the end of the time, you can actually, you will see in your own check, in your own email, but then we also get it too. So we'll see. It'll be a smoother transition, I think, easier to do. A lot of people are going to electronics that way, they have to get out there and post office. And there's some advantages. You do have to have that cost, and it's gonna cost you about $3.40. So it's, write a check, mail it, or you wanna
Everybody be updating their information, like when they're paying, like when they're every.
I think they
Yes.
set it up to where it has an application where you actually fill out your. Right.
The same information that's on that form is also on the website. The only thing is new members coming in cannot apply on the web and pay with a credit card. That would have to be done manually the old way, but
Is any proof?
yeah, we need to check the deed and check the property appraiser's website and those kind of things. So this is just for members reapplying and renewing their membership. Yes, renewals only. They only fee, this is the best part, the only fee to Trepo is a $10 a month fee, and that's unlimited. So whether we get 5 payments or 500 in a month, we still only pay $10. So that's huge, that for the for the convenience of the member as well as the convenience for us. So we're really excited about it, so.
thank you all for that information. We'll
Took
move
over,
on.
didn't I?
Are there
You
any
did
more
good.
questions of Vicki or Carol and Ward? Okay, we'll move on to the president's report. Terry?
Chris, or TJ, we've been doing the karaoke out here, and he hasn't stopped at like 6 o'clock. So what's been going on is the younger people coming in at 2 o'clock, and then the older members coming in like 4 or 5 o'clock, and then if I have to have board and stuff like that, they start pouring in. So by the time they get in, they don't really have enough time to have a good time. And all of it's real respectful. I think that. And I was just gonna ask if you could, Chris, during the summertime at least, his station 7 instead of 6.
So, board members, you've heard that. Have we had any issues since the first times in the park? I think we corrected a couple of things. We asked that the music be toned down a little bit. We asked that.
He was actually real quick to turn the volume down, and if I'm out here, he always asks, "Hey, is this acceptable?" I'll walk around the edge and make sure that it's not too loud from a distance. But I see no problem with him running it an extra hour. Give people more of a chance to get together as a community. That's always a great thing.
So, what's the consensus of the board? Are there any board members object to moving to 7? Okay, we have a motion by John to allow the karaoke to move till 7 o'clock. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Charlie Thompson. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
suggesting a vacuum breaker for a backflow preventer. The vacuum breaker goes initially to release the flow.
Did he indicate, the benefit of either or and the cost at all, an idea?
It's not gonna be really that expensive. I would suggest go with backflow preventer where it doesn't cut down the amount of work that you say on stickers.
Okay.
But what it does is stop water from
Do any board members have any experience with the backflow preventers? Sammy?
It just comes out of the back out of where, if we get any real water, it will backflow into the
Uh,
way.
I see.
That's when it just stops. It's just the back.
Okay. So is that, so we don't really know how much that's gonna cost though, but do you think it's a few $100s maybe? Uh-huh. Okay, so what's the pleasure of the board moving forward?
I'm surprised that they didn't do it.
So someone want to make a motion, be specific on what you're requesting?
With, some of her,
Sounds like it'll protect our aquifer to some degree, so I make a motion we go forward with adding this to backflow preventer.
So Sammy, you yielded your motion to Charlie, and then you're going to second it. Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by Charlie. Charlie, is your motion,
Let's do them both.
okay, so you seconded his motion, so you want to let him change his motion then? So the motion is to get both, is that correct, Charlie?
Yes.
And you're seconding that, Sammy? Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye. Okay, we are.
Are we doing the work ourselves, or are we getting like Wolf Plumbing to do this?
We'll have a plumber.
Well, go girls. Okay, that answered that
So
question.
on the backflow preventers, you'll have to have a license certification to do it. Okay,
She's
so,
got you covered.
so, is there a limit of 350 that we're setting on that? We shouldn't be over that. Is that right? Okay. Well, let's go ahead and vote on that. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Go ahead, Terry. Is that Patrick, who you're working with? Yeah, okay. He said that, that's what you gotta do. He's at the health department? Okay. So you can take care of that though, right, Terry? Okay. What else do you have, Terry? Did,
I don't want to send a certified letter to that boy that shut down at the park, you know, I was going to get mine and drop a letter, and talk about it to the board, and we can send it.
why don't we have a little discussion on that now, because it's happened twice.
We have this one guy grab his table under his car, massive pavilion in the morning, jumping out. You know, I worked there one day, and I was yelling 3 times.
stressed me out and stuff like that, so I just wanted to send him a letter, because he don't think, he said that don't keep the member, he can do what he wants to do, but our bylaw states no more in the park. And so, me and Robert will get a better certified letter today, but he can't be doing this anymore. Plus, I got the following weekend, when I came here, I just came in here, somebody got a key, one of our members told me that he had been back in the park again, so the park had really today.
Now, Terry, on that first incident, you did have, it was a pretty busy day. You had, there was maybe 12 or 13 people in the boat
Yeah.
that I understood. I
Yeah,
was,
plus he called everybody in there.
right, and so I did understand that game commission had, someone come in the unmarked car,
Just 10 minutes ago.
and then a couple came up the river. Now, they did escort them out, if you did they not? They did not, did they tell them to leave? Okay.
The cops won't do nothing either.
Right. So that's something we probably need to look into, because there's a mean water
Yeah,
high,
yeah.
and then I believe if it comes up on the property, I don't believe they have a right, if you have rules on your property, that they can actually go in and create an issue like that. But here's the point I would make. We as a board, first of all, our first line of defense, if it's if it's members of Three Rivers Estate, I would say that is unethical conduct by members to treat the organization that way when we have established parks for recreation and their members. So we probably do need to look into that going forward to see what we can do, and we may just have to take a look and say if someone wants to act out in that manner, it would be within the board's purview to take their membership. The next thing we need to look at is that how can we establish a swimming area in our park separate from boats? And so that would be something that we need to work with the game commission. Now, if they're out in the river proper, I don't see how we can actually touch that. But once it starts coming in, and that's an established swimming area for our park, I would think there's got to be some method that we can use. Yeah. So, any board members have any thoughts on that, or have y'all dealt with that in the past in any way?
So rude. I mean, they cuss her out. We had members leaving that day because of this going on, because it was so bad. He was cussing. They took their kids and left.
Yes, sir.
So I'm the deputy sheriff here in Holmes County. Part of the problem you're going to have is if he's a member of the executive park, unless you have somebody that's actually empowered to empower the deputy to override his membership, there's nothing we can do because he's a member of the organization. So part of the problem you're going to run into is when you have a member that's showing out, he has a right to be in the park. I can't make a determination unless, for any other deputy. We'll be able to make a determination until y'all have something set out where we say who's in charge.
So the only way you could really step in is if we told you he's not a member and he needs to be taken out of the park.
If he's not a member,
Right.
no problem. The deputy
Right.
should be able to escort him out of the
Right.
park based on my understanding of everything. But if he's a member, then it gets complicated pretty quick. It's kind of like if we get a trespass warning from an apartment complex, I can trespass him from your apartment, but he can come over the next day and go right back into the same complex as when he's going to her apartment.
Gotcha.
And so it's just, as long as they have some reason that he can be in there, then you're going to run into that issue with law enforcement because they're not going to be able to decide whose rights are more important than others unless you designate somebody basically in charge of making those decisions.
Okay, Vicki, you have a question?
I don't have my policies and procedures with me, but remember when we were tackling the issue of the shooters on my side? And we had an incident log where we could log incidents that the law was called and what had actually taken place. And then I believe it was the pleasure of the board to decide, do we send them a certified letter? Do we go to the attorney and have the attorney send them a letter showing them to desist in what they were doing, and then they decide if they even want to take their membership away. So I would recommend that we go along those lines, depending on the severity and how many times it's been warned. Maybe a certified letter is good.
So we could get that written up, especially during peak season, which is Memorial Day to Labor Day. We actually have assigned security. Assigned security personnel in the park with a functioning of duty to keep order in the process. So to present that to law enforcement, what confidence does law enforcement need in our process to?
Again, I think, and I would probably defer on getting an opinion from the state attorney's office on it and bring down to that just to be certain. Ideally, based on my understanding, you should be, if you've got somebody designated and they're a member, but they don't particularly are not an owner, they're a member of an organization. So they don't own the park itself. So you should be able to have somebody who's designated as your security personnel say, hey, this person they've got to leave. And then, of course, if you remove the membership at that point, then they can trespass in from all of your facilities. If he's as long as he's out on the water, anybody can go out of the water. If he comes in where he's up in the park or he's up in an area where it's, again, that would be something I would want to get more another opinion on. Like if you're talking about the mean water level, I would want to find out like where does that stand, where does that end, and all that. That would be probably FWC's probably better equipped for that than I am.
Politics.
Yeah. If he gets up in the park, then you've got, you also, of course, you could have, depending on if he's intoxicated, there could be an issue with disorderly intoxication or possibly if you or several other people at the park are in disguised behavior, then you potentially have them try to get him to leave based off of disorderly conduct. Yeah.
Okay. Jesse, you have a question?
Back at a legal subject, me and Marco Cartwright were actually talking about putting up like a floating buoy system around our swimming areas because we're allowed to designate those as swimming areas. And then if a boat crosses over those designated swimming areas, we can ask FWC to make them come out of the swimming area because this is mainly used for swimming and recreation, our whole side of it. And we had already talked to FWC and they said if we were to put floating buoys up on a string in the area, as long as it doesn't go into the actual flow of the river, then that would be acceptable as a swimming area, and then we can enforce it in our swimming areas.
So it would basically be on our beach during regular mean
Like down at
water
Point,
level.
like down at Point Park, you've got those big rocks that stick out to the river. You can attach one in there, and then another one by those two big cypress trees where our swimming area is. And if a boat came in past those floating buoys, FWC could say, y'all have to come out of that swimming area. That's a designated swimming area.
So it does sound like it might be a good plan.
Well, I was there that day, and I think the conflict started when you were asking them to move their boat, because their boat was in the swimming area. So if we have those buoys, it may not even happen, because they were encroaching. And that's when they got ugly.
Well, the sad part about it is that when someone is acting out in that manner, and they're into the park, we've already condoned for our children and folks to use that as a swimming area. So we have knowledge of potential danger inside that area. So we literally have a responsibility to act. I guess the term is we have knowledge of something, and we know it's wrong. So it's almost as if we can't stop till we exhaust every measure to make it safe again. So that is really how maybe we need to, Terry, we probably need to look at this with our gatekeepers and come up with a plan of action for that. Of course, we are going to be working with the park ranger by the first of the year, and we're developing that job description now. And that person would even have a greater responsibility for the board to assist the gatekeeper. So we may be headed in this direction, but I do like the idea of the buoys. I wish we could get the buoys out in the river. We might fudge a little bit on that maybe at some point. Um, but yes, yeah, yeah, right. Okay, so Terry, why don't we keep that high on our list now and let that be part of the whole security plan? Then we'll come up with that. Like the idea of recognizing the responsibility that we have to do, having somebody designated, and we can move in that direction. Do you have they have shift commanders that run this area? I think y'all rotate those. So it might not be a bad idea for us just to be during these peak seasons, maybe to communicate with the sheriff's office so we can have some uh, person to reach out to as we're moving through, because we have an awful lot of folks. It's all about the safety of those kids and having the opportunity to have a good recreational time.
There's always, it should be, there's always a watch commander on or supervision for that shift. If nothing else, you can always call up the exit list, speak to the watch commander for that day, and you'll either get one of the sergeant or the patrol clear, and then they can get you all whatever assistance you need.
Great. All right. I'm kind of glad we had this discussion. And yes, Vicki.
So, back to the letter, is the board gonna recommend that we do send this individual a letter or not?
Well, we didn't officially act on that, but we absolutely should do
Since there's
that.
been more than one incident, I think he should
Is it
be
the same
warned.
person?
Yes.
Yeah, but I didn't see the second one, I was told by a member. Then
Okay.
he was back up in there again, and I asked him, he said, anybody, and he said, no, he didn't say nothing, because everybody knows what he's like, he seems to be,
Well, one time's enough.
yeah.
So, so why don't we draft that letter, get that to them? Is that,
Board members, y'all good, but we don't need to vote on that. I think we would all be in agreement with that. So we'll do that then. Thank you,
Good.
Vicki. Okay, we'll move on to maintenance committee report. John?
Brandon Park and try to come in from both ways, and it's still flooded pretty bad. The boat went flooded pretty bad. It's starting to go down a little bit. Like the rest of it's mighty slow. We got some guys been going down here with a four-wheeler down in Point Park. I had a couple calls about them going in Point Park and just having a fun time in the mud pile out there in the mud pie. So that's all I can say is all remember is please try to help keep gas closed.
Okay, so they're coming into the main parking area. Are they going past that in toward the river? They can't get, so they're in the main parking area.
I went down there earlier and it is a mess. Of course, the gate was open, so I shut the gate, but when you pull like where the gate normally is, I mean, this deep of red zone, there's two roads, so I
Right.
couldn't pull my little camera in there right now and give them a drive with those. So they've gone in and it's all, you can see what they've just been spinning it up. I think this is just me, I don't know. Has anybody seen the Point Parks yesterday's thing? It's a mess. I think the gate needs to be locked just until some of that dries up. And then someone's got a four-wheeler, this is not a truck, this is a four-wheeler, and between where the porta potty was and that big tree to the right of the gate, and you can see the black dirt when it just spun it up. So I went in there, it's just tearing it up. And it's not giving, I mean, there's still water in there in a big puddle. I don't know, but
Hey,
if it keeps going, it's gonna
yes,
be a
Sammy?
mess.
Would it be an idea since they're not really used, let's put another lock on it, and nobody else can open it up on the outside around the house?
Just temporarily.
Can we think about that?
Well, what I would say in that regard, that since we don't meet but once a month, I would let Terry be the person that decided when it needed to be locked down as the president for the members.
You know what I'm saying? Just hop on it right now. Nobody else can, except for you, unlock it.
Huh?
Because
Okay.
Because really, That should be in there still.
Right.
Well, the only people that might be in there is kayakers.
Yeah, but they can go through the gate or something with a kayak to get out.
They just have to park outside, which is supposed to be not allowed, but under the circumstances, yeah.
That's for sure.
I say we lock it until it dries up, we can get it fixed.
Also, I got an email to, Mike McCray about getting the line marked down for, Midpoint Park, and them guys, until it quits raining a little bit, it starts drying up, you just, shooting yourself in the foot to do it. But hoping in a couple of weeks and get one, we can get some line marked and get it put down at Midpoint.
So did he commit to when he could get that? Okay. All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
what about the tailings that Jackie Moore and Derek said they were gonna get for probably the same price? That there's still a program that did it for like 15, 10 years, and they still have one way there.
You talking about Millings or?
Yeah.
the-
Yeah.
The millings would definitely would probably work. It's not going to actually wash away as easily because it's not going to deteriorate. So I think Mike can get the millings. He should be able to. Anderson's got 3 or 4 generations of millings up there north of town. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir.
On our maintenance department, why don't we get a little tractor with a bottom plate on that? We're gonna go through this every year. Whenever the water comes up, we get heavy rain, we know we can run over there with the tractor and rain through or whatever, and smooth it right back out and go about our day.
Okay. We'll
There's plenty of line rock there right now. We can just get smoothed out, moved around.
okay.
Don't move that easy right now, I can tell you, because I've done it a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
With my tractor, you just can't move that line up when you set them down.
Yeah, you got work there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what we'll do, we'll get, I'll get with John, and it is still going to need some because you've got quite a bit of a depression there right now. So, but we could do what you're saying, definitely.
Just keep them great.
Okay. Okay, John, you have anything else? Okay. We'll move on then to the communications committee.
Jesse has his hand up.
Yeah.
Brief part of that, I was able to see all the things down on the right side of the park.
Okay.
To that side, the board was still working on it. So I mean, we tried to the whole board, like cover the fire, the lights and all that, and we didn't have to
Are they 1 to 6s or 2 to 6s?
There's 5
It was
sections.
whatever y'all had feedback on it.
But a 1x6 would work great. A pressure-treated 1x6 would work good.
We need 5 sections done. They're ready to.
Are they,
5 pieces of this.
yeah, they 8 or 10 foot or 12 foot, do you know the spans?
I didn't actually take a measure, but I believe they're 8 foot. I didn't take a measure.
Oh, you think they're 16s? I wouldn't think it would be that far between the spans, though. 2/8 maybe? Okay. John, is that something we can get the materials fairly easy?
Yeah. Yes, you get put down in the next, that's like that, when you better off.
Alright, yeah.
Won't take long to get out there and screw them back up there, but the bunch is still in pretty good shape. I tried a couple of, like you said, on the left-hand side,
Right.
just lock them in and put it on.
Yeah, yeah, and I've got posts all put in too, if we need a couple posts here or there, so if you just buy those 1x, I'll do it. And like I said, buy a little bit of paint if you want that same color or something, and I'll even make sure we get it dual free together with paint.
Thank goodness wood prices have come down quite a bit, Lord have mercy.
Have?
They have.
That
Not enough,
much.
but it's better than it
That
was.
much.
A little better. So, okay, well, we'll move on then to communications committee report. Vonda, Charlie.
Okay.
I don't really have a lot of communications to talk about, but I do have the membership numbers.
We'll throw this in there. So as of today, we have 709 members on the Columbia side, 240 on the East Shawnee side, so a total of 949 members.
Very good.
949 total. So we need about 1,898 keys with that. 6,200 keys.
We'll get 2,000. I'm call it good.
Huh?
That's 1,000 keys. Call it good.
Okay, so I'll get that over tomorrow then. Okay, Charlie, anything on the camera systems and?
Sure. So I got a couple volunteers to help out. We've got 4,700 feet of network cable pulled throughout the park. Since the cameras are network cameras, we had to do a little bit of upgrades on the infrastructure in here, which was long overdue anyway. But all the cables in place and everything, the cameras that we will be using are still on back order, but the rest of the infrastructure is in place. Thank you, Charlie, for all the conduit that you have running everywhere. You really saved my bacon on that one. Appreciate that. Didn't have to dig no ditches. Yes, sir, I did. So that was great. In doing so, in doing all this while I was upgrading anyway, I got to looking at the network traffic. Not so much as what you're doing on the internet, because I don't really care, but some of the other things, like certain websites it's gone to and things. So what I found was, since we put the new equipment in, we had about was it 80 some odd requests, I think, for pornographic content right here at Hoder Park. So I've put in internet filters to hopefully block some of this content, because I really don't want some child seeing over some pervert's shoulder and then having a very interesting conversation with their parents. That would be really bad. So we do have some internet filters in to try to block some of that, hopefully all of it. While I was at it, I went ahead and put filters in to block some malware, peer-to-peer file sharing, other piracy stuff that's against the law anyway, because we really don't need that in our park. And in doing so, we actually saved a lot of bandwidth, so that can be used for more productive things, like streaming videos of karaoke and things like that. So that's a great thing. But yeah, everything's come along real good. Everything is locked up. Everything is moved out of the office as far as IT equipment. So whatever y'all want to do with the filing cabinets or whatever, none of me is in there anymore. So I'm moved out. So y'all do whatever you got to do there. And we're all on track for that right now.
So we'll start working our way through the various different other locations shortly. This was your main?
Yes, sir. This was the main thing. I needed this set up because everything happens in layers, right? So I needed the foundation first and then start building on said foundation. So I needed this part done first. So yeah, we've got quite a bit of time in on this one, but that's all right.
So going back to the boat issue, if we had all this in place, we would have a pretty good documentary of.
We would have had great documentary of what happened with the boat issue. That's but it is being worked on.
Right. Okay.
And Charlie really hooked me up with that conduit.
Okay. Very good. Anything else, Charlie, Vonda?
Do you know how long these cameras are on back order?
They won't tell me. All they tell me is that some ports are shut down somewhere in China, and because of that, and COVID, because that's all you hear anymore, and that's about the point I stopped listening anyway.
Okay.
All right.
To be honest.
Thank you for your report. We'll move on to discussion items, and first item is the park committee report. Tommy Trammell couldn't be here tonight. He's celebrating his anniversary at the beach. So,
Awesome.
So he couldn't be here for a few days. Just to let you know, he's going to kill me if he's watching this, but the park committee report, though, is in the process right now of finishing up the job description. Hope to be able to start going out and searching in October, November, December. We hope to have someone on board. going through some orientation as to the expectations of what this board has for this position, and then in January, we would be official for the upcoming year. So any questions on that? Okay. We'll move on to camera security, Charlie. And Charlie, I guess I jumped the gun on that one. We got that done, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
So very excited about that. You got a question? Okay. Fall Festival.
Okay, so Fall Festival, we've got about 17 or 18 tables that are going to be set up. There's 3 or 4 individuals that want 2 tables, but most everybody is bringing 1 table. Anywhere from crafts to bread to paintings, children's crafts that they've put together, all an assortment of all kinds of things. So it should be a lot of fun. Vonda and I have been talking about either renting or borrowing. I think Ruben has a popcorn machine that we can use. We've talked about buying one so we could use them at future events. We talked about a snow cone machine. There's other things that we'd like to do, but because of COVID, we probably shouldn't. Like we were talking about a bounce house, maybe not. I wanted to bob for apples, probably not. So there's some things like that we just gotta stay away from. And there is a lady coming that one of the other members is going to buy the paint, and she's going to paint on children's faces for free. So if there's any members that want to take it upon themselves to have a game for the kids, we can certainly buy bags of candy for prizes or whatever, but we're open to suggestions on that. This is our first go at a fall festival, so
What's the date on it?
October 16th.
Okay, so October 16th is a fall festival. That will actually
Correct.
follow the fall member.
Right, the members' meeting's on the 9th, and then a week later will be the fall festival. So I asked John if we could leave the large tent put up and not take it down, because it's so hard to get back up again for the following week. He said yes, but we just probably need to lower it down so the wind doesn't take it away.
You need to get some volunteers to at 5 o'clock on Friday night when you need to put the tent up all day.
Right, for the barbecue. And then Saturday morning before the fall festival, I have a couple friends in mind, but anybody who wants to come out and help move picnic tables, my idea, because you don't know about the weather, is to move the picnic tables out of the pavilions for people to eat on or sit on and talk on, but all the craft tables need to be under cover. So we could use the large tent, and we could also use the large pavilion, and you can get more tables in those areas if you move the picnic tables out. These picnic tables are wide with seats, and they take up a lot of room.
Okay.
So if anybody has ideas for some activities, I'm open.
Yeah, John.
Well, Chairman, backing up, I apologize. We need to start looking at some different picnic tables, maybe some fiberglass that might get, seats on them or something like that. So that, one of the people here tonight, we're board members, or one of the members out here are people. You see some online, which I'm not an online shopper, don't know how to use it. Give me a holler, and we do need to do something besides wooden picnic tables.
They're very heavy.
Pardon me?
They have some of those springs like that.
Maybe we could find out where they got them.
Yeah, okay. Take care of that.
Well, if you look at the area that one of those picnic tables consumes, and the people that you can literally get around it, it's not very practical. I mean, you really cut yourself short.
We had discussed the possibility of actually having benches built out from the edges around, leaving the middle way open, and actually having a top built so that you could sit here. You could actually have a top, but if you were going to have a picnic, you could eat around that, still open up the middle, and if you needed to bring some folding tables in, or some tables, you could do that later, but you could sit 3 times the people that you could actually sit around picnic tables. So maybe we want to take a look at some design of that and see what it really looks like. See what we have and see what would be involved in that. that's something the board might want to take on. Sammy, you do a lot of building stuff. I mean, you could actually draw something up for us. I'm not asking you to build it. Yeah, yeah, we could repurpose the picnic table woods. So,
They have it unique, it's a half picnic table,
yeah,
has a back, and then those benches, and we flip it over, put two of them together, it's a perfect, picnic table. And it's outstanding.
okay.
Amazon. Very, very useful. It's a bench, and then it comes up the back, and you slide two of them together. That's a picnic table. And then, it's a half picnic table, but it's a bench. Unless you want to.
So we really, you know, to get anything done, we're gonna have to have someone really take a look at it. You want to kind of grab a few things for us to take a look? Okay. All right. The other thing too, you've got the fall festival, but we've got before we meet again, we will actually have the fall picnic. So because we will be meeting on the 12th, I believe, and the picnic's on the 9th. So where do we stand with food and the events for that day?
I guess we'll get fix and put it up and have that man cook it.
Okay. We had discussed the food actually being served at 12:30. Is that right?
That's what I'm shooting for.
The serving time. Okay. So anything else that we need to make arrangements for? Y'all pretty much have that down, Terry? Okay. All right. And we appreciate it. Thank you.
So you need people to show up on Friday about 5 or 5:30? 5 o'clock on Friday to help put the tent up. Okay.
Okay. Anything else on the fall picnic?
I need to know what time you all want to do the festival, the fall festival. Do you want it like from 10 to 3?
So you, it's your ball game.
But I'm not the boss.
So this fall, the fall festival is focused around children.
Children, families,
Big
crafts.
children, right?
Yeah, big children.
Big kids. Okay. So it's a family event then. Okay. All right. So I guess what would be a best time to do that? You can't drag something on all day. You got to have a pretty specific time.
I think so too.
Are you gonna?
Ruben had talked about cooking. Are we cooking? Awesome.
So have you thought about any kind of music just to kind of keep some continuity through the day?
We're going to use DJ Chris on music.
DJ Ice Cream Chris in the house.
Just got in from Chicago this morning, so I'm a little slow today. Yeah, I thought we'd do some DJ music, maybe do some pop rock, good songs, any kind of genre that you guys want to hear, we can set up whatever song. We got 55,000 songs, and I think that'll be real nice.
I like oldies.
Okay.
I like oldies.
Those oldies like you too.
All right. So we've got the fall picnic under control then. So we'll move on to our next item would be new business. Is there any new business that we need to discuss? Okay.
One thing Terry and I were talking about is we are trying to do more for the community. And on December 4th, which is the first Saturday in December, before everything gets started, doing some type of event for kids. If anyone has a Santa Claus suit, wants to be Santa Claus, we would love that.
The Easter, I have the Easter bunny.
Okay, we'll get that. But that's something we would like to kind of earmark for that day and to be able to do
something like that.
So, is this going to be a specific age group you're looking at, or big kids that believe in Santa Claus too?
Anybody that believes in Santa and enjoys Christmas, old people, young people.
Okay. So how would you set up the theme of that day for the activities? I mean, what would you?
Well, I started thinking this later. We could do it later in the day, and then we could do like maybe like a hayride or something at the end. We could have a go-kart, golf-kart parade. I mean, we could really go all out and involve everybody.
Okay, well, they have had those before. They've decorated some golf carts and with the lights and stuff and had a pretty good time.
We can have some for everybody, kids, adults. So anyway, that's kind of.
So you're going to kind of work on that. Maybe by the October meeting, you may
More details together.
more details. Okay, that's good.
The other thing we need to get for the office is, as memberships coming up, is a copy machine. So you can write your like a black and white copies, because we've been getting lots of copies.
Okay.
Make sure you get those in right. Yes.
Like the one on top of the refrigerator?
Yeah.
That's a copy machine.
We need something that we can get a lot of prints out. I have a brother, and it's great. But yeah, they're about $300, but they like.
It's a laser printer, so it's not huge.
So, on a monthly basis, what do you project your copy count to be?
During membership time, and we had a copy, of course, if you get a membership, we do the letters that go out with the membership keys, the labels. I make copies of everything. If a check comes in, I make a copy of it before we give it to Vicki, so that if something comes back, I've got that in there. And because I've had that happen, somebody goes, oh no, I paid such and such. It's like, no ma'am, this is it. I say the envelope, this is when it was postmarked, but I do copy that. It got this year because we did not want to get involved getting blamed for cash. I would take and do a card, the member's name, their number, when it came in, cash. I banned it, I stapled it, and I made a copy of it. So I knew they paid in cash, and this is their cash, and there's no missing, and it went to Vicki that way.
So I would actually defer this to Charlie. He's got a lot of experience with copy machines, not at that level though. But do you have any recommendation of where they might look? You're maybe looking at what, 300 to 500 a month copies. Maybe?
Well, we haven't lived through actual membership yet, so
We've only done
it'd
the
probably be a lot.
tail end last year.
But on average for the course of
A year, if you averaged it out, let's say, you may have 1,000 copies in a couple of membership months.
We're on our second cartridge with all the together. It's because you get so many of them when I have.
I'll get a quote for it.
Okay.
I'll take care of it.
All right. Answers that question.
You're gonna do that?
I'll get a quote and take care of it.
Okay.
The other one is you kind of hit on it earlier, since we're going to be doing these community events, I would like to see us invest in like a snow cone machine, cotton candy, and popcorn. So that these would be used not for people to borrow, but for our members. If we have karaoke, maybe we want to have snow cones that day. And then Chico would, they could serve ice. Fun. Anyway, so I've been kind of looking at those.
John's in charge of cotton candy.
It's not fun, but it's fun in the beginning. It's not fun, but it's what you get out of it. Anyway, so I've been looking at those, and I didn't know if y'all thought that was a great idea, awful idea. I was talking about this, and I know Ruben said they have one that they would sell, and it's the same one of the ones I was looking at. I think it was $240, $250 on Amazon, and he would sell it for $100 for the popcorn machine. So, anyway.
Does it have a 10-year warranty on it? So, board members, you want to kick that around? Your thoughts on that? I mean, you're going to have very limited times unless y'all really crank up these activities. You're maybe once a quarter or whatever, unless you're really planning to push.
We've never done a back to school thing, but
it actually also be a draw to maybe help get kids to come
I think so.
for events
I
and
want
get
kids
used to that?
out here to feel the same warm, fuzzy feelings I felt growing up here. You got your natural, beautiful river, but it's fun to be a kid and have something to with popcorn. And then when they bring their kids back, oh, back when I was a little girl, we did this.
So what's your thought, board members?
I have a spirit popcorn machine thing for a nonprofit. And they're great as long as people take care of them and clean them up properly afterwards. Because they get so gummed up that they're not worth a darn. They start burning up every time you use it. And every 6, 8 months, you really buy new products for that. And that's about $100 or so. So I would just suggest that if you get one, get a good one, and take the linger part after everything, every time you use it, and clean it up, because that butter mix and oil mix, it ruins them. And a lot of times people just put them away for, we had to get the nonprofit people would make popcorn every day, and it got to where the place smelled like burnt popcorn all the time, and nobody was playing it. No, just
So you would actually do this also during the fall and spring picnics and right.
Maybe we want to have a bingo Saturday afternoon bingo. I just want to do some things to bring the community together so everybody has a great time at karaoke. And kind of like she was saying, by as it gets later, that's when you're adults. And another thing that we're talking about is maybe the first 2 hours for kids, and then the kids have a cutoff point, and then it's just for the adults.
So if you got all three items, how much money are you talking about spending? Of course, you're going to get Ruben's $100 machine that's worth $500, right? Or $1,000. Huh?
It's supposed to be half price.
Okay. All right.
Um, yeah, it just depends. That's what it did. Anywhere from like 179 to 279.
Okay. Board members, I'm not getting a whole lot of reaction. Normally, I wouldn't be in favor of something like this, but I got to be honest with you. These girls work so hard. They put everything they've got into it. They're working every aspect of what we're doing down here. I would recommend that I would recommend to you, you can make the motion, but for or against, but they work so hard at what they're doing. They'll create events around these items purchased yet. Okay. Locked up.
Beer over there and you got your junk.
It's not that we left out in the weather, we'll take care of it just like we do all the time for that after the fish around here.
Yeah, and I would say we need to be very highly restrictive for the uses of that for our events. So, what's the pleasure of the board? Mr. Bryant? Okay, we have a motion by John. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Charlie. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Is there any other new business, Vonda, that you have? Any board members with any new business? Okay. We'll move on to old business. Is there any old business that we need to, I think we covered a lot of old business in our items tonight.
Still waiting on the order Florida that we're going down to Peter.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we will move on now to, there is no other old business we need to discuss. Okay, we'll move on then to property owners' comments. Yes, Jesse.
I was curious where those signs are that I heard all this telephone about. I haven't seen these signs yet. They're around Utah and down in the Newark area.
Yeah.
Just curious. Anybody need any help suitable spots for me to put it up?
You're looking for the new signs?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that pretty much falls on me. Tommy Matthews has been trying to get this done, and I have not been able to get to it. There's a little bit of an issue with graphics, and since when I closed the business down, I've got about 200 hard drives that have graphics, and I have not found those graphics, and I'm trying to find them. They're very specific and difficult to duplicate. Yes, yes, yeah, yes. It's got all the artwork, and so it's to commission it. We could commission it, but we're trying to be consistent. So it's a designed for failure right now. So I apologize for that. I'll take the full brunt of that until I can get artwork. Yes, John.
Why can't we get the signs like we have out front, the wood ones?
Those are extremely expensive signs. I think we paid about $1,500, $2,000 for those. Didn't we, Charlie Arnett? So those are extremely expensive. And the further they get away from the main area, the ones in Suwannee County were destroyed, were they not? Yeah. So the metal signs with the vinyl skins are probably going to be the best way, kind of like what that sign is there. They're a lot easier to replace. So that's where we are with that. There is a little bit of work that's got to be done over on what is the road that comes off of 47 on the east? Is it Utah? Utah is right past Junction Road. Yeah, we've got to get some dirt on each side of that also, and we've got permission to do that, to get that area built up so that it'll actually be able to be placed there in a secure manner, because it's a little bit of a ditch, and we don't want four-wheelers driving over it. So I guess you put me on notice. We'll work a little harder to get to that. But Tommy Matthews has tried to get it done. We'll actually going to bring dirt and build those up, very similar to what we did at the front entrance here when we built the two areas up there. So, any other board members want to speak?
I've got a question.
Not board members, but any members. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yes, John, you have a question.
Yes. In the minutes for June, in the June 28th meeting, they were just posted, and I would like to ask you and the board that on page 3, now, on page 3, you mentioned there was a complaint received regarding a board member about unacceptable and anyway, encouraging the social media, things that you were not happy with. I would like to know if that was aimed at me.
I don't remember. I'll be honest, what is this, September?
Would you like some minutes?
Well, I'm not going to go through all that tonight. I'd be glad to review it and get back with you and let you know. I'd be glad to state publicly if that's the case. I will say this, I'm not very happy quite often
about some of the social media stuff that you put out that are absolutely, totally lies, and you work very hard against this one. Let me speak. I'm speaking, and you can come back to speak, all right? And then we'll dismiss the meeting, all right? But that is the case quite often. You never call anybody to question anything about it. You just blurt it out there, and it's not true. And therefore, all of our members and all the folks through social media see this stuff, and it's nothing but a direct drag on this board, and it's done by you. Now, what do you want to say? Go ahead.
I have never printed a lie. Never. And if you would like to see the paperwork, you're welcome to come over, or I'll meet you right here with it.
Yeah.
So you tell me what I've lied about, and I will provide you the printed material.
Yeah, Joan, I'll be honest with you. I really don't have time to engage in this. I don't think there's a person in this room that, listen, I'm speaking, I'll let you speak. I don't think there's a person on this board that doubts for 1 minute what you're doing and what you're constantly doing to tear this board down through all of our processes, through all the projects and all the things we have to do. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to cut this conversation off, and we'll move on to the next person. You want to speak to the board? Any member? Okay. Yes. Yes,
I don't know anything ever came of that. Park there, apparently has a sticker on it from county nearby or something. Code enforcement. What's the?
Code enforcement actually did visit the site, and they can't put more than one dwelling on that site, so they can't go in there and create a campground. It's not going to happen. And it's very important that the board members and the members in Three Rivers Estate constantly be aware of what's going on. Not that we don't want to deny anyone their right to do what they can do with their property, but the county government has rules and regulations, and they have requirements, and we all have expectations of what our properties are worth and what they should be worth. And I don't believe that a trailer park is going to be allowed to be inside this park. Now, there's also one that was designated in talking with code enforcement. There's a 5-mile limit, and apparently there was one that was designated within that limit. It would be very difficult even to get one if you had a property you could put it on. So that's all that I know at this time. That's not really official, other than conversations that have had.
Charlie Thompson explained that whole thing very clearly.
Yes, because that person did reach out to us, and they had seen on a Facebook page somewhere that was the game plan, that they were going to build this campground, and wanted to make sure that we knew that was not going to happen, and wanted us to try to help squash any rumors like that, because they were concerned. I mean, they're coming to the area. They don't want all the neighbors automatically hating them before they even get their house built, obviously. So, I mean, they were concerned, where's the welcome wagon? Instead, we got pitchforks out. So we chatted for a little bit, and then we put it on the rumors page on the website to squash it, and they couldn't do it if they wanted to, but the fact is they don't want to. So that's great. We should probably bake them a pie and apologize, but it's all good.
What excuse did they give you for putting all those power poles on there for each pad right in front of it?
I didn't ask them about the power pole specifically. They did say on the pad that they was going to put their camper on one pad and a truck on another, like a pole barn type thing.
That's it. I've seen that happen quite a bit now. People are starting to put camps in. There is, so we have to follow, and we try to do it. Right. You can stay in your camper for 6 months as long as you had a permit. And people are putting campers in just down the street. And one guy's got pole barns up, and he's got 2 big campers set up on the camp.
And also, I mean, I didn't ask about that part, but my dad's a welder, and he's got an extra pole down for his shop because welding machine pulls a lot of power. And he's got another one for his other shed. I don't know why that's on him. He don't have a welder over there. But That's what he set up. So I don't know, and I'm not making excuses for the guy. I didn't ask, but there are some legitimate reasons, I guess, out there for that.
No, I said it's 4 months, not 6 months.
4 months, okay, well, that's even better. So, yes.
Is the bathroom situation just because of a hurricane right now?
Actually, we had Poloni come and look at the septic tank and the bathrooms, and the water table is so high up around, it's saturated, so it really can't flow. Matter of fact, we had the conversation today to get back down and have them check it out and see if we can get it to where it can flow.
Now, the septic is saturated? The area where the septic is, or where the drain?
Yeah, the drain field and the septic. So what they normally do,
Street where it's dry?
yeah, so the water table.
You can pump it out and it's gonna seep back in and fill up until the ground starts drying.
That's why you see them built up in places. They're up in the air,
So they will drain.
so they will drain.
And we have a very high volume here on the weekends. You can only imagine the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of flushes. So, okay, anyone else want to address the board? Not hearing, yes, sir.
I just had a question. AGM, I just wanted to propose to find out the possibility of maybe putting in like a walking bike path down your main paved road in the subdivision. Is something like that?
Well, we don't own the roads.
It's county property. There's nothing we can do on that.
So do we bring that to the county then, or how does that work? I've been here.
You could do that.
For 14 months. So how does that work?
Talk to your commissioner and see if you could get your commissioner to back something like that.
You know, just have ATVs all looking down.
They would.
Okay, so
The gentleman in the corner had something.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, on the mowing.
On what?
On mowing, the parks, can we add the other parks to a regular mowing? Can it go as mowed already? Yeah. The boat ramps usually mow pretty good, but Point Park and Bridge Park, it seems like they never get mowed. Like maybe twice, 3 times a year.
We'll work on it.
No, yeah. I understand right now, but.
Okay, so we've about exhausted the evening. So appreciate everyone coming out. Good meeting. Okay. We're adjourned. Thank you. Vicki?